Yo, 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 what's going on, people? Big man, how we doing, guys? Raps on
Good,
TV
man.
back again, here to
Good.
talk the
Yeah.
best things in boxing as per usual. Looking forward to I think it's going to be a packed show this week. I mean, we're starting to see a lot more activity in the UK, over in the US as well. But before we go on, I just wanted to let my co-panelist introduce himself. Dave Johal from Punch Out Boxing TV. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. Pleasure to be on. This is all a new concept in terms of StreamYard. So good to see you boys virtually. Hopefully we can do this in the studio soon as well. So a lot to talk about. Thanks for having me on, guys.
No problem.
No,
and Mr. Sam, how you doing, sir?
What's going on? I've just been talking about how hectic things are, work-wise as well as non-work-wise, boxing-wise. It's crazy. It's good to have boxing kind of back, and we're in that kind of routine now. So I'm looking forward to get stuck into the show. Like, there's so much that's already gone on today as it is. So, looking forward to that.
No, definitely. And for those listening in, don't forget, if you want to tune in and dial in, the number will come up on the bottom of the screen now. So that's the free phone number to dial in. For those that are listening, the present and the future, that's the number to dial in to come and talk to us about the best things in boxing. We're going to have Chris Kongo joining us today. He should be with us in about 10-15 minutes. He's going to be talking about his fight camp debut, a really tough test that was due to take place earlier this year and is obviously postponed. But it's against a guy called Luther Clay, a really tough opponent who kind of came out of the radar last year. And that's probably a really exciting clash, one of the probably clashes that have gone under the radar. So looking forward to hearing from him this week. But guys, listen, before we go into the real boxing, we've got to talk about the best right hand that was laid out or that was thrown this weekend on the London Underground. I'm sure you guys must have seen that. I'm sure you've seen that video.
I have, of course. Of course. They should say racism kills instead of smoking.
I mean, what I've got. Go on, Dave.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, how much could they have pushed those kids? That guy, it was deplorable. He was pushing and pushing, and the reaction that those kids landed was a result of what happened, to be fair. He shouldn't have pushed them. Eddie Hearn signed those kids up.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I'm pretty certain Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren were looking for that guy. It looks like he's a lightweight. But yeah, no, that was great to see. So yeah, guys, I think this week we know we've got a big week ahead, but let's talk about last weekend's card. We saw Frank Warren put on a card on a Saturday featuring Michael Conlan, Carl Frampton, and Dennis McCann, Archie Sharp versus Jeff Ofori. Talk to me about that card, guys. Anything stand out? Any standout performances?
Yeah, I was not necessarily standout performance as such, but in terms of Jeff Ofori, who we know quite well and is listener into raps, that it was quite unfortunate, disappointing. Speaking to Jeff offline, there were some things that he didn't, that goes on behind closed doors, that he wasn't able to get the win, and ultimately he got stopped. But I'm sure someone like him will come back stronger. I mean, he came back stronger from O'Hara in the golden ticket, and he's one to stay. So I just wanted to shout Jeff Ofori out and say keep your head up. In terms of the other fights, Frampton, I expected Frampton to do what he had to do, really. Conlan, I was impressed. I was really impressed. I thought he was sharp. Like, he means business. I think he's back. I mean, remember when he first came onto the scene with the whole Conor McGregor association, and then all of a sudden him not being associated with Conor McGregor anymore, and this whole thing of, is this guy a serious boxer or not? And just questions to him. Is he one of those kind of Insta famous, or kind of trying to be one of those celebrity boxers? But no, for me, proved himself to be a real
dirty fighter.
Yeah, I like it. The real Irishman came out.
Do you think it was a case of frustration? I mean, were they too low, in your opinion, Sam?
Sorry, repeat that, bro.
Do you think they were a bit low, those shots, or do you think he?
It just depends what kind of referee. From the camera angles, yes, it did look kind of low and a bit borderline. Like, it just depends how the shorts are built, especially showing the belt line, the waistline and the belt line, because sometimes boxers have it up here, so they're not really showing that much of the lower abdominals, where some people have it just lower. So it's also a case of that depends on the referee as well. But ultimately, a lot of fans, from what I heard, thought that it was low. I thought it was borderline, kind of give or take whatever is in a good mood on his day. But ultimately, he did what he needed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And Dave, how about you? What's your thoughts on that Frank Warren card?
Yeah.
Out of the two cards, I actually preferred the Warren card, if I'm being honest. One standout. Cheers, Asgi. One standout fighter on the card was, for me, Dennis McCann, who was phenomenal. Absolutely brilliant. He is going to go on to bigger and better things as well. Great platform. So that was a really, really good performance in my opinion as well. Frampton, again, I think he did what was expected. But Dennis McCann was something special that day. I know he was fighting someone that he was probably expected to beat. However, the way he disposed of him, fast, energetic, he will go on to bigger and better things in the future. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then I think the other fights we have to talk about is, of course, it's a Matchroom card. The Fight Camp 3. I think, you know, I want to talk about potentially, and we're seeing a few comments coming through here. So big up Asgi, because I think that's probably the best. That's probably the big thing of the weekend. There was I guess an upset on the cards really with Shannon Courtney.
Crazy.
First round knockdown. Talk to me about that fight, guys. I mean, did you watch it? And I'm gonna say, like, when you were, especially the knockdown, when I went, ooh, as if it's not even women's boxing anymore. And I know we're hearing that a lot more, but like the competitiveness of the fights and the styles is really rising. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, bro, I completely agree with you on that. It's for me, that just showed me that it didn't. I feel sorry for Shannon, obviously, on that basis, but ultimately, this has sparked so much attention onto women's boxing. It's made me realize that women's boxing is competitive, and ultimately, it just kind of adds to that. You know, they need to get the same kind of timing and rounds as the male boxers do. You know, there needs to be no difference now because it's getting
and the money, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. Because Twitter, I remember Twitter went wild. I mean, look at her opponent. Do you know what really got me? And shout out to Boxing Loan that posted. It was the video of of Courtney's opponent just crying her eyes out like, I can't believe I've done it. She was expected to be the journey woman and come on and just take a beating. But you know, fair play to her. Shannon Courtney, look, you're promoted by one of the biggest promoters in the world. You've got such a great backing. You've got great support. Look, take this one on the chin. We've seen Cheeseman come back from adversity with not just one, but two controversial kind of decisions. So, you know, really looking forward to women's boxing, and I'm sure Courtney will come back.
Yeah,
and I think as well, it's going to get to a point where I think we're already seeing it, where it's just boxing, isn't it? To be fair, there's no actually titles for women. What I mean by titles is there's no actual definition of men's boxing, women's boxing. Asgi quite rightfully just put on the screen there as well. Massive fight with Katie Taylor and Passan for the undisputed lightweight titles as well. This is what fans want to see.
No, definitely.
100%. Unfortunately for Shannon Courtney, she'll be back. You know, she's good, she's talented, and you're 100% right as well. With the backing of Eddie Hearn, you know, the sky's the limit for her, to be fair. It's one loss. You know, a loss, I think, as well, in my opinion, doesn't hold the value of what a loss used to hold, you know, mid-90s.
The Mayweather era,
Yeah.
I know it's a bit sad.
Mayweather screwed it up for everyone. Mayweather, Kawasaki, all those guys screwed it up for people. Everyone's looking for that.
The loss he had to Mayweather, he is still, pound for pound, one of the best boxers.
I was going to say, he was the best. But listen, guys, we've got Chris. Chris is waiting to come through, so I'm going to bring him into the chat. I definitely want to just say this guy. I mean, he's been on the platform now for coming up to like since we started. So he's got a big fight this weekend. He's coming up against Luther Clay, current champion. So it's a great opportunity for Chris not only to be able to fight in front of the masses on a huge platform like Sky Sports, but also to get some trinkets and add to that. It's that kind of amateur career that he's had. So listen, I'm bringing you in, Chris. How you doing, sir?
Hey, the champ.
What's happening?
The champ is here.
I'm here.
Talk to us, champ. Have you had your COVID-19 test yet?
Yeah, done all of that. All good. So
where's the picture?
Yeah. Where's
the picture of the Coldwell gun up the nose? I want to.
Oh, I think Matchroom gonna put that up soon.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a bit weird, but it got
It's
done.
uncomfortable, isn't it?
Yeah, very uncomfortable.
And so, how's it been, bro? How was it? I mean, listen, we've all been watching Fight Camp as boxing fans and seeing the energy that's kind of taking place. Fighters all in the same sort of property vicinity. Just talk to us a little bit about like how the entry was. Just give us some behind the scenes.
The entry was cool, man. Just as usual, bringing all my stuff in, getting checked by security, getting told what's going down, and seeing Luther Clay on the way, and it's normal, man.
So have you guys given each other any eye to eye, any conversation?
No, I don't need to look at it. No conversation, nothing, man. He just, I'm just happy he's here now.
Yeah.
Of course.
Well, we're losing you a little bit.
Wasn't it, this fight as well, Chris? A long time in the making, wasn't it?
Pardon?
It was a long time in the making, this fight, wasn't it? Long time coming.
Yeah, 100%, man. It was supposed to happen in March, and then I thought the fight camp would have been in July, so I kind of stayed ready throughout anyway, just as usual, man. It ended up being in August, give him a bit more time, so why not, man? Yeah.
And who's in your camp? Who's coming in into your corner this weekend?
Jimmy Mack and his son Jim Mack Jr. as well.
Nice. So that's familiarity from your side. Sam, I know you've got a question. You want to take it away?
Yes, bro. Talk to me. This weekend's it's probably arguably your biggest fight, and it's one that I believe is going to be very career-defining for you, and puts you on the map. Can you talk me through how much of an influence Dillian Whyte has been throughout the whole build-up and just kind of bringing you to the stage you're at now?
For me, Dillian Whyte has been a big influence. I mean, look at what he's done alone for people like Richard Riakpo. And we're in the gym all the time. So when he's there giving me tips and pointers as usual, and he's been a big help in my career, and I'm only just getting started. So imagine when I'm up there, European level, world level, it's going to be a big impact, you know? Yeah,
no, for sure, man. It's I'm really looking forward. I'm really looking forward to this because everyone's been talking about this for such a long time now. How do you feel personally? Because COVID and everything happened. You're now coming again, so you've kind of had to regroup. Has anything changed, kind of, in terms of preparation prior to COVID now and going into this camp? What's changed?
Not much. I think the only thing I've got was probably just better sparring, really. I've managed to get better sparring than I had before. And apart from that, it's been the same preparations, man. Same thing I'm focusing on, which is myself. Don't really watch. I watched Luther once when he boxed against Richard, and I watched him once again in January when the fight was made. That's it, man. I already know what to do. We're ready to adapt to whatever he brings. We obviously know he's only got one style at the moment. You can only come forward and fight. So that's what he's going to bring. I don't think he's going to try be the counter puncher. I don't think he's going to try and be the boxer and try and box, because he's pretty slow on his feet, but he's good. He's got good fundamentals.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's going to be really competitive. I think it's going to be a technical fight, one that everyone's looking forward to. But another last question for me is kind of, do you feel now you're getting a lot more hype around you and you're starting to get the respect you deserve? Because I know when we spoke a few shows ago, and because you've been on the Rapson journey from the start, Do you feel like now people are starting to understand who the real Chris Kongo is and what he's here to do?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
Points.
Okay.
Reason why I've been out for 16 months. You know what I mean? I haven't boxed for 16 months. So the last Chris Kongo they saw live on TV was 2 years ago against probably more of a better pressure fighter than Luther Clay and a much stronger fighter than Luther Clay in Sergeant Bomber when I boxed him on Dillion's undercard. So he come with the real pressure and he was strong. So I outboxed him pretty easy. I done what I had to do to get the win. So yeah, that's the last time people saw Chris Kongo live. So a lot of the stuff we've been working on, you're gonna see it in this fight coming.
Nice. And Dave, I know you had a question on your side.
Yeah, hi Chris. It was to do with the sort of scene at the moment of welterweight. I mean, the fight you were going to fight on originally was the Josh Kelly one, wasn't it? So all the way in March, it was Kelly versus Avanesian. So we've got Kelly, we've got Avanesian, Awesome as well, Conor Ben. When you see the fights happening between these people after this win is really pivotal to your career and your trajectory, isn't it?
Of course.
I mean, out of those as well, who would you ideally like next?
You know what? I don't like talking about who I would like next. Obviously, because we've got Luther Clay ahead of us. But due to COVID stuff right now, we're only looking at people we can fight in Britain, and obviously, would be looking at Josh Kelly, Conor Ben, even Chris Jenkins for the British title. So any of them is good for me, man.
Moving into a different format. Sorry, the sunlight's coming through, right? So yeah, Chris, whilst we're talking, I mean, obviously we know you, London kid. Boxing is not just one of your fortes, and you're quite entrepreneurial. Just talk to us about the event that's taken place. I'm gonna bring it up on the screen now.
Yeah.
This is going down at the hidden venue. Talk to us a little bit about what that's about, how you got involved.
Yeah, so basically, it's a watch party. So, if you're looking to watch the fight on a big screen whilst social distancing, because it is capped at amount of people they're allowed to have in there, you can go down there, hidden bay. You can also go there if you want to have a quick game of golf. Just have a good day out. So it's good, and anybody listening in should head down there. It's going to be at the golfing range in Greenwich, right by the O2 Arena. So yeah, head down, man.
We'll definitely be sure to promote that on the page. We'll try and get down there ourselves this week. What I was going to say though is, from your perspective, we know what titles at stake here. There's been quite a few rumors about, what could be next. I heard the Boxing Voice interview, and there was rumors around Crawford. I know you wouldn't be looking at that level, but you get this win over Luther Clay on the weekend. Hopefully, sorry. What would be next in your mind?
Boy, you know what? I think when you talk about people like Crawford at the moment, they're at the top, and I need to build my way up there. And obviously, Luther Clay is the first step up to the WBO rankings. So we'll take each fight as it comes. There's a few fighters that I've had a look at in the rankings, and I would like to fight a few. And then if Crawford is still the champion, then we get it on. In this sport, you gotta believe in yourself, and if you believe you're the best, then fight the best, man. Make it happen. So if that's the case,
no, definitely. And I mean, how's it been so far? I mean, the weigh-in is Friday. What's the schedule like for this week whilst you're on fight camp? Is it hectic?
It's a bit hectic. We got a shoot tomorrow, a media shoot tomorrow. Then we got the what's this? We got the on Thursday we got the press conference. So it'll be me and Luther Clay together, and then Friday weigh-in, Saturday, and the new. You know what I mean? So yeah.
You're on mute, bro.
Bro, you're on mute.
Sorry, yeah, Sam, Dave, do you guys want to fire away a question?
Yeah, bro. Just this is kind of a bit off topic, really, but do you see the bubble? Do you see it being productive for you as a fighter? Are you happy with the environment? Is the environment something that you could get used to in the foreseeable future?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm thinking about Saturday. This keeps me level-headed, not think about anything else. I did say I was gonna shut my phone off from 7 o'clock, but you know I had to get the interview wraps on TV. And yeah, bro, I'm just gonna be in my own zone. I got my books here, and I'm just gonna read, man, and just get in the zone, proper have a stretch, another stretch, and head for bed, man. Tomorrow's another day.
Yeah.
Sick, man. We're looking forward to seeing the maximum violence, bro.
That's what we're bringing, man. There's 3 of us fighting on the show. So you got Alan Babbage, myself, Chris Kongo, and Whyte. So we're all gonna bring maximum violence.
Yeah, man.
Dave, I'll let you ask the last question.
How much are you going to miss the crowd as well, Chris? Not being there in full capacity on the gate.
Say that again, sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, how much are you going to miss the crowd as well on the gate and the atmosphere?
I mean, for me, I look at it as kind of a plus, you know, because it's kind of good for me. Whereas I haven't boxed for a long time, and to get back in the crowd, bro, I know how it feels, man. It's a bit draining. So where there's no crowd, I think it worked out better for me for my first fight back. Even though it's gonna feel, well, I don't know. People say it's just normal, like a normal fight, but where the only people I'm hearing is my trainer. To be honest, it's gonna be a bit like sparring. So, but I've had guys that are coming in and trying to take my head off, and the coaches will say, "Listen, I've had a word with them. They're gonna put it on you, you know." And when they're young and hungry, they're coming. So I have to be on my A game regardless, and I will be on my A game come Saturday night.
No,
It's certainly one of the
definitely.
parts of the card as well. Certainly one that everyone wants to watch. It's just, you know, the same just didn't happen in March. We got it now. You know, best of luck. Coach last yesterday today as well, the manager of Luther Clay. Said, look, I'm going to be speaking to Chris today. Have you got any words for Chris? And he said, good luck, which is nice as well. He just said, good luck. May the best man win.
Of course.
Yeah, of course, mate. So listen, Chris, I know we kept you past your curfew. You've got to get that relaxing. It's an important week for you. We do appreciate you coming onto the platform. We'll be sure to plug the event, the watch-along event throughout this week. We just wanted to say that good luck this weekend. We will be watching, and hopefully we'll get a post-fight interview with you next week. And we'll get to see that belt as well, so we get that victory. So thank you very much, bro.
Yes, bro.
Take care, man. Take care. Cheers. Yes, guys. So yeah, it was good to hear from him. Didn't want to keep him too long. How you? Oh, he could leave. Yeah. So yeah, no, but it's really good to hear from him. Hear what the plans are. From my point of view, I think next week. This weekend. I think it's going to be a really exciting fight. I think this fight will definitely go under the radar. But I think Eddie Hearn will be excited once he sees the result, because I think Chris has got a lot of talent. He's got a great fighting style, but nonetheless, I think Luther Clay is obviously the current champion, and he's not going to want to give up his belt easily. So I think those two styles are just really going to gel. And it's kind of what makes this card, one of the fights that makes this a pay-per-view worthy card as well, because it's not always just about the names of the fight. It's about the entertainment and the styles that they bring to you. So, yeah, really looking forward to that.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Like, I really like how Kongo has always been. He's been very consistent in terms of always staying in shape, always been in the gym, always been very humble as well. Really has that kind of silent assassin type of persona that you get from him. Like, you see him be chilled, kind of very structured, very calm. But, you know, I can assure you, like I said, there's going to be maximum violence. That seems to be the theme from coming across from the camp of Dylan Whyte and everyone associated with him. But are we opening up the lines, coach, or what we doing? I've got a couple more topics.
Yes, definitely, man. Let's open up the lines. We've got a few people. Yes, big up Princess Pretty. Shout out Princess London. She's got an Instagram page. I'll try and put the link in the description, or she can put the link in the description. But yeah, really great content. She's a knowledgeable boxing fan. Looking forward to seeing her on the platform as well soon. So she said it'll be interesting to see how Luther takes the speed. Yeah, Chris is the fight. He's definitely got hand speed. So let's go over to the lines. Let's get the lines open. We're gonna start with 985. I think that's our resident. We ain't spoken to him in a while, Mr. Appiah.
How are we doing, fellas? You all right?
We're doing good. How are you?
Good.
I'm all good. Everything is beautiful.
Talk to us.
Well, just wanted to talk about the Dylan Whyte fight. I'm going to go for a Dylan Whyte win on point. I think it'll be a tough fight. Yeah. I think he'll go all the way.
12 rounds. It is a 12 rounder, right? Or is it 10 rounds?
I think it is. I think it will go all the way. I can see them both knocking each other down in the fight, maybe. And you know, I reckon it will be decided on points. And I'm going to go for our man Dylan Whyte to do it. But I think it's going to be a tough fight for him. Not going to be no pushover, no easy fight. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah. I mean, from your perspective, Dylan Whyte, obviously we know what's at stake for him should he win this fight. He wants that WBC opportunity. Do you think it's finally about time that if he gets this win on the weekend, he is fighting for that title next?
Yeah, that'd be great. Listen, that'd be great to see him. I mean, that'd be great to see him in a world title fight. That'd be fantastic. That'd be great. I think he deserves a shot. He's don't know one. He's quite active. If you think about it, over the last few years, he's quite active. He gets in there and he gets value for money every time, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So that'd be great if he could get an opportunity.
Perfect. Definitely. And then I guess the other thing I wanted to ask you, really it was about the fights last weekend. Did you get to see any of the boxing last weekend?
You know what? I didn't. I did see Frampton over the weekend. I got an opportunity to see Frampton. What do you think up for him next? Who would you like to see Frampton fight next?
I mean, I'll let one of the guys take that. Dave, Sam, what do you think for Carl Frampton?
I mean, there's a number of options. I think he should take. I'd like to see him in another domestic, and then go on to bigger, better things just to see what he was like. Because I think with COVID as well, my opinion is that it's now producing more 50-50 fights, as in what we perceived as the underdog now is not really the underdog. Last week proved this all with Ball against Shannon Courtney. People are looking to bring it now as well. So I'd like to see him in another domestic, a domestic household name. Maybe fight, if they're in the same class again, a Warrington or a Selby like, and then maybe go on and see what the future brings in terms of world level. So I like to see him do that personally, just to see what's left in the tank for him, because he is a phenomenal fighter.
Yeah. No, I think that's a very fair comment. I think that's fair. So Dan, anything?
Go on.
No, so I was going to say anything else from your side?
The gentleman just said Warrington again. I mean, I'm not sure if we want to see that though. We want to see Frampton against Warrington again. I mean,
eventually, yeah. I mean, I'd personally like to see that just to see what it entails. I mean, you know, it's hard to see what he's got left. To be fair, because he's been up there with you know, with Leo Santa Cruz, of course, at that kind of level. But why not?
Yeah, true. Fair point.
Yeah.
Fair point. Okay. All right.
So listen, Dan, we're going to move on to the next caller, but I appreciate.
Thank you, brother.
As always. And we're back now on the weekly tip. So we look forward to speaking to you next week. And we'll look. So we've got you down. We've got your prediction down as Dylan Whyte on points.
Yeah, that's lovely. Cheers, Pocho.
Cheers,
We'll
mate.
talk next week.
Definitely. Take care.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
We're going out to 737. 737.
Yes, people.
What's going on?
What's good, brother? This is Ade, Boxing Talk with Ade.
Oh yes, my man. Like, it's been such a long time. I've forgotten what you sound like, bro.
Yeah.
I need to get the reach.
Pay the bill sometimes, you know.
Yeah, that's Sky Sports.
That's Sky Sports, buddy.
No, but how's it going, bro? Thank you for calling in. I let one of the guys ask you a question, or if you've got a comment, question or comment.
Ade, talk to me. What do you think Dylan Whyte's going to do to Povetkin? Do you think it's a knockout with the left hook?
I don't know. You know, I've been watching some little clips of Dylan Whyte out in Portugal, and he looks actually a bit. I can't wait to see what he weighs on the scales. Obviously, he's never going to be like he was against Maran's back, weighing something crazy like 271. But I would love to be pleasantly surprised that Dylan Whyte is a bit lighter than we expect. We always think of Dylan Whyte as someone that just stands in the pocket and trades, and we know he can do that. I want to see an evolving Dylan Whyte, a guy that's on his toes a bit moving. So I'd love to see Dylan Whyte come in a bit lighter, and let's see him evolve. Let's see him put a dominant performance against Povetkin, so we can get excited about a Fury or a Dylan Whyte or a Wilder matchup, knowing that he's got a bit more to his game. So I think he might, like the gentleman said before, I think we're going to see the left hook, but I wouldn't be shocked if it goes to points and Dylan Whyte's just a bit cautious. Let's not forget what carrot's dangling. We're talking a WBC mandatory shot. I don't think he's going to want to stand in the pocket of Povetkin. Even though Povetkin is old, the last thing that goes is power, right? That's what they say. And I think Dylan Whyte would be silly to stand in trade with this guy. You just got to make sure you get the pick, you get the win, and you move on. And fingers crossed, he fights a Fury or a Wilder next. He's got to be careful. He can't be silly.
No, I agree with that. I definitely agree. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if we see a more cautious Dylan, but you know, sometimes he might want to try and get a statement and prove himself and kind of go for it. But obviously, if the opening's there, go for it. But if not, you know, there's a lot at stake. And let's not forget he's got a new trainer, which was announced today, which is Dave Coldwell, who's going to be in his corner. Perfect.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That was going to be my next question. So for those that are watching live, I just put the picture on the screen. So Dave Coldwell has been asked to join Dylan Whyte's team as a second coach in the corner. I'll put it to all three of you, but Ade, starting with you as a caller, what's your thoughts on that?
Strange, if I'm honest with you. Look, Dave Coldwell is a great voice to have. And look, I always thought that sometimes if you can get good voices in the corner, it's been get them. But Dave Coldwell has not been out there with him in Portugal. They've not trained together before, I don't think. I think that's, but you know, he's been in training camps with him, like just briefly, but nothing concrete. So Whyte had something to your corner so close to a fight. Whyte had a different voice when surely you worked on instructions and things to do with your new trainer in Portugal. So it's a bit surprising. But I think Dave Coldwell is one of the real knowledgeable good guys for boxing. So it's not a bad thing. But again, if these things leading up to the Povetkin fight, you're talking new training, you're talking a new voice in the corner of Dave Coldwell now. You're talking no fans. I mean, Povetkin kept the same camp for like 20 years, it seems. He knows exactly what to prepare for. Whereas Dylan Whyte looks like he's trying a couple of things, and I don't think this is the time to be playing about with new ideas and new things. Just get the win and move on. Povetkin is no slouch. Povetkin's a top 10 heavyweight. This is a risky fight. Yes, we all know Dylan Whyte's favorite, but this is risky. This isn't the time to be trying out new little ideas and new guys in the corner. Just keep it simple and win. All you got to do is win.
What do you think he could personally add to his arsenal already? What do you think he could add to his game plan already? If he could add one thing, what do you think that could be?
Listening to Coldwell in corners, like when you watch him with Chisora and when you watch him with Benyu, he's so calm in the corner, and his instructions are so precise. And maybe that's something he didn't get from Tips. He's not sort of herky jerky in the corner. Sometimes you can go back to the corner and the trainer trying to give you like instructions like this as a fucking A-level exam. It's like, no, just keep it simple. Give me left, right, jab, move, head, and just keep it simple. And that's one thing that Coldwell can do, is keep it simple. And I think Dylan Whyte will like that. He wants simple instructions. I don't think Dylan Whyte's the type of person to go back and take all detailed instructions. It's not him. And I think Coldwell will keep it simple.
Yeah. No, great points there, Addy. So before we go, do you want to just put out your platform, just shout out your platform, let everybody know where they can continue to find you, what you're going to be doing this summer as well?
Yeah, so guys, thank you as always, Coach, for that. Boxing talk with Addy. If you want it raw, I don't sugarcoat. I kind of tell it how it is. I don't fence it on the channel. So Boxing Talk with Addy, the YouTube channel. In terms of what I'm up to this summer, Sky Sports Football Transfer Show starts in 2 weeks, so I'm back on that, which is good. And I'm covering UFC for TalkSport at the moment. So it's weird having to juggle 3 different sports, but my main focus is on boxing. I can't wait, by the way, for Chris Kongo.
Yes.
I think there's a sleeper on the card, and it could be the fight on the card.
Yeah.
I think Kongo, obviously, we know is the bigger guy, but don't sleep on those South Africans, Luther Clay can go,
Exactly,
He can go, he's a champion, and he fought the better opposition as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great fight, and I can't wait for that one. That one, I know people will know that it's on the pay-per-view element, but that's a good fight on a portion of a pay-per-view card.
Exactly.
I'm glad that these guys are getting their respect and going to get eyeballs on them because they deserve it, both of them.
Yeah, exactly, and I think you're totally right with that. I think our comments on the screen are saying the same. I think to add to this as a pay-per-view card, nobody wants to pay that £25, but at the moment you look at the list of fights there from Dillian Whyte, even the Katie Taylor pursuit. There's another one going under the radar, Zach Chili. He's another guy, good fighter. So looking forward to that fully. So listen, Addy.
Very quickly, Kojo.
Yes.
Very quickly. Sorry, Dad. I know you've got other guys waiting. I'm always big in Matchroom, but let's salute them for this idea as well.
Yeah.
I think it's been a little fantastic. Fight camp has been very, very different and unusual.
Yeah.
I mean, I like what they've done. They fought outside the box, and in times like this, when boxing is struggling, I think outside the box. To Matchroom for thinking outside the box like this.
Yeah, no, I think you're fair play. I mean, look, for us as fans, we all want to see something different. I think we would have taken boxing in York Hall. So for Eddie Hearn and Matchroom to come up with this concept, I think it's worked. It's okay. There's no fans, so you don't have that energy. But I think they've tried to make a good substitute with the entertainment. And I've been told the fireworks are going to be amazing this week. So that's one thing. That's one positive. But listen, Addy, thank you as always for calling in, and we'll catch up soon.
Thanks, guys. Well done on the show. We'll catch up very, very soon.
Cheers, mate.
Take care.
Very good, guys.
Just take care.
Thanks.
Bye. Going out to this uncle. Going out to. I want to say it's uncle.
Hey.
How you doing, sir? How you doing, uncle? You all right?
Uncle.
I'm good. I think I was a bit late coming in for a change.
No, we have to just every now and then we mix it up. You're still an alumni.
Yeah. On the Dillian Whyte Povetkin fight, yeah. I haven't really seen much of the clips of Dillian in training camp, but what I do think is that have they fought some years back? Povetkin heavily. Yeah, we should never forget Povetkin's an Olympic gold medal winner, Stella Amateur, former world champion. But if Dillian Whyte cannot decisively now, then that doesn't very well for him when he has the world title fights, be it against Tyson Fury or Joshua. In my opinion, he needs to make a statement, as in box well, even and put a finish this guy. I thought Povetkin was very fortunate to get a draw against Michael Hunter the last time he fought. Yeah. In fact, I give the fight to Michael Hunter. And let's not forget, even though he knocked out David Price, he did struggle with David Price. I mean, I think Povetkin is now 40 years old. Am I correct?
I know he's definitely 35, 30, between 35 40, yes.
I think he is 40.
So, I mean, I respect him, but I think he's been better days, is my honest opinion. So, if Whyte cannot beat him decisively, then I don't think it bodes well for Whyte.
And
not that I think he will beat Fury or Anthony Joshua. Well, he and Joshua already fought, so we know we know what happened when they fought the first time. Yes, Dillian's improved, etc. But
Yeah. So, Uncle, I just want the one question I wanted to ask you. It's kind of gone on under the radar, so I'm gonna put it onto you. The US fight. We've got a card this weekend over in the States, and Sean Porter is fighting. He's fighting a guy called Formula. Undefeated guy, ranked quite well in the amateur sort of background. From your perspective, Sean Porter, knowing that he potentially could face the winner of Danny Garcia or Errol Spence Jr., do you think this is the right fight for him to take against an unknown? Do you think it's the right option?
I'm glad you asked that question. I think Sean Porter should be fighting Terence Crawford. Is my answer to that.
Yeah.
I don't like this crap about him and Crawford being mates way back. So look, all these guys knew each other. They were both all on the amateur circuits around the same time. Yeah.
Yep.
I watched this, where you're all friends. I mean, I'm sorry, it's all BS. This is not professional boxing.
Yeah.
Then you should be fighting Terence Crawford, in my opinion. Well, both of them don't seem reluctant to fight each other.
Yeah, and I know, that's a great answer.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that's the kind of fight he should be having.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Uncle. So listen.
I mean, I think Errol Spence going straight in with Danny Garcia tells you a lot about Errol Spence Jr.
Yeah.
I
No.
mean, Danny Garcia is not exactly the easiest guy in the world to fight.
Yeah. No, totally. I know that, and I think that's going to be a huge clash. I'm really looking forward to that one when it kicks off. So, Uncle, listen, we're going to have to move on, but thank you for your call. I will say, is there one last point that you want to make before we move on?
Yes, quickly. I didn't see much of the fights over the weekend, but I saw Charlotte Courtney on her backside. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to give a shout out to her. I know there's been a lot of press.
You there?
Hello, Uncle, you there? Hello. Oh, he's gone. All right. So we move on. So I think he was talking about Shannon Courtney, and I think he was going to give her a boost. Which, I mean, let's talk about that fight whilst he handed that over to us. I mean, yeah, great fight. But I do think from her, she can bounce back. I think she can
easily, bro. That's not even. If anything, go on.
Yep.
I was just going to say, it's not the end of the world. I think fans now realise that one loss, it depends on how he lost. I mean, David Haye lost him early on in his career. Bernard Hopkins did not lose his first professional fight. People lose. It's the manner in which they lose and come back. That's what makes a fighter. It sounds like a cliche, doesn't it, at the end of the day? But it's one loss. I mean, Sam, you mentioned Eggington earlier on as well in the show, saying 2 back-to-back losses. He's gone on. Sorry, it's not Cheeseman.
Cheeseman, yeah. No, look at him. He was going to retire, and then look, he got his respect back by having a real scrap with Eggington, and he proved himself to be back in business. And now from there, look, people are talking about him fighting Fowler, him fighting all the light middleweights of the division, and really building himself up to get to that a sort of level. But you know, it's boxing is unpredictable game sometimes, and ultimately, as people say, unless you knock your opponent out, that's the only time you're in control of the fight, right? So ultimately, it's in other people's hands. So look, it's not a bad thing. It's brought a lot of good attention to women's boxing. It's asked loads of questions and got loads of publicity. From industry standpoint, yes, she's hurting now, but in the next couple of months, when she gets herself and picks herself back up, she's got the support of everyone behind her, and especially when you got Eddie Hearn support. But yeah.
And I think just on that, moving away from that, sorry, your uncle mentioned what he would like. He would like to see Sean Porter fight Crawford. Sam, I think you were mentioning that there was talks of a contract that was exchanged between Crawford and Thurman. Do you want to just bring up on that?
Yeah. So allegedly, Crawford's team has approached Thurman a number of times, and you know how much of a passionate guy and a raps on TV guy Thurman is. So he got really animated and just said, "Look, I will do it live. Tell Crawford to send me a contract. I will sign it live stream, and I'm ready." He basically said, "Look, I'm ready to go. You can get it." Basically, he's saying, "Look, I'm ready to come back. I'm ready to come back strong." Terence Crawford hasn't really fought people at that weight, and he's just putting doubts and casting doubts in the mind of Crawford. But you know, it's really exciting stuff. That division's hot. I think it's the second. I think it's up there after the heavyweight division. I do not believe you. I have to.
He's definitely trolling on that one.
Crawford will get smoked by Josh Taylor. Nah, Josh Taylor's a talent, but ultimately, I think Crawford's just been up there for too long, and Crawford just knows what he's doing. But ultimately, this is what I'm saying. This division is crazy. This division is the next best division after the heavyweight division. This is what it is. And then you've got then you've got Devin Haney's division and those guys. So that it's kind of going back to post era of the light guys with these fast punch. It wasn't like that. It hasn't been like that for the past few years. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean, and I do want to speak to actually Asgi's. Dave, sorry, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I was just gonna touch in on Asgi's comments there.
Good. Yeah.
So look, years ago, when he was in Tyson Fury's camp, he was telling me about this heavyweight. You got to see this guy. He will be heavyweight champion of the world. He's now training in some capacity with Josh Taylor as well. So I wouldn't count what Asgi's saying as So
I think the interesting dynamics of that, and I think I'll give him this credit on. He said he could beat him. It's not impossible, but what? Because I think for me, Josh Taylor was my fighter of the year last year. I think what he achieved in terms of undefeated fighter after undefeated fighter, picking up belt after belt, and obviously the Regis Progress fight, which was lived up to its expectation. I really put him up there as really the guy who done well. It's a close call between him and Josh Warrington. But what I would say is I think the Taylor beating Crawford. Do we think Taylor could beat Errol Spence? Because I don't think so.
I'm not sure.
I want to see him against Mikey Garcia. I want to see him against Mikey Garcia or Paul
Taylor against Mikey Garcia.
Yeah.
That would be a cracking fight.
I really want to see that. Ultimately, if he beats him and handles him with ease, then yeah.
I mean, and anything is possible. But I won't lie. I think you've got. That's a great shot. I think Taylor versus a Mikey Garcia. I think is a great market. Is a good barometer because I think that would not be an easy fight. And Taylor would be up for it. We know Taylor's a talent. And he's won the World Boxing Super Series. So we know that he's a top talent. I just wonder whether the welterweights will be a chunk too far, just at the size too much for him, especially Errol Spence and Crawford. But you never know.
Yeah, true.
What do you think
Boxing.
of Errol Spence sort of net post crash? Do you think he's, because it was a big crash, wasn't it, as well? And I seen some of the stuff on Insta and stuff with. I'm just saying, I just hope he's okay. You know, he's a fantastic talent as well. Do you think he can still mix it at that level straight away?
Yeah, I think he can. I generally think he can. I think he's got the. I think he's just got that will to win, and how he's been able to prove himself. Not I started taking, but I'll say the British public started taking Spence a lot more seriously when he beat the crap out of Kell Brook in Sheffield, like dismantled him. I do feel Spence is up there. So ultimately, we want to see. I just want to see that first fight after his first fight out of post injury. I want to see if he can handle Danny Garcia, who's got a lot to prove. He's lost his belt. He's hungry to get everything back, and you know if he wins that, he's opened up the division again. So there's a lot on his shoulder, and there's a lot of motivation for him. So, and credit to Spence, he doesn't have to take this fight, but ultimately, I do think Spence can pull it off. But it's just about a tactic. His dad needs to give him a good game plan.
Yeah, and for me, I think I would have to agree. I think before the crash, I probably would have said, look, I think Spence beats him quite easily, because I think Spence is the best in that division. I think he could even probably go up and beat a lot of the champions there. But I would say for me, Danny Garcia is underrated. He's not necessarily a multi-style fighter, but he punches hard, he's quick, and he's got good IQ. So I think this is not a whitewash for Errol Spence in any way at all. I think if you look at Danny Garcia, he had close fights with Sean Porter and Keith Thurman. You know, he's a fit guy. I think his size underwhelms people. I think people are surprised when they're standing next to him. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that fight. I think, you know what, for us to be coming out of this kind of lockdown and to have that as an option a year after him beating Sean Porter and that crash, I think it's a good look. And I think it's kind of setting the standard, because again, the other welterweights, I don't think they will face that level of competition. I don't think Crawford will. I don't think Pacquiao will. And obviously we're seeing Sean Porter isn't. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. For sure.
I was going to say, Aski's definitely showing his bias. he's definitely showing some bias. But now we love the support, Aski. We need to get some of your guys on the show as well. Maverick, Masood, let's get Mark Adeli on as well. Let's get your guys back on. So, guys, any other topic? Dave, have you got a topic on the show?
Yeah, let's talk. Just really quickly.
Dave's got something.
Oh, go on.
Sorry, guys. It was in regards to Canelo fighting Yildirim. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, that's...
hey, you took it from me. You took
it.
Okay. Great minds are thinking alike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bizarre. Well, I don't want to belittle Yildirim, but I would have liked to see Canelo and Smith finally super middle.
They can't agree terms.
It's a shame. I'd love to see Billy Joe Saunders against Canelo, but we're getting Yildirim, which again, I don't want to sound disrespectful, but the way Chris Eubank Jr. disposed of Yildirim, who was made out to be this phenomenal wrecking machine, this beast that Ring Magazine had him down as, because prior to that as well, before he fought Chris Eubank Jr., there was there was articles written on Yildirim in the Ring magazine saying, look, this guy is something and everything like that. Chris Eubank Jr., love him or hate him, just disposed of him. And it was one of the best sort of knockouts of that whole tournament, you know. But I'd like to see...
And I was just about to say, if you remember, before that, the big question around Chris Eubank Jr. was that he had no power. And I think because he stopped this Yildirim, who he even came up a weight. He wasn't even I remember there was something around him, but basically Chris Eubank knocked him out, and it was like Chris Eubank is amazing, XYZ. But yeah, I agree with you. For me, I think it is disappointing from Canelo. I'm definitely going to be on Asgli's side as well. I would have liked to have seen Canelo maybe just not fight because he's got this deal with DAZN, so the finance is already there for him. And I would have preferred him to even wait till like January, February that next year, where you could get a small amount of crowds and then maybe fight a big opponent so that you've got a little bit of a crowd, but then you can, so that allows your purse revenue to generate more. And then you do a pay-per-view against a Billy Joe Saunders. I mean, for me, I think Billy Joe Saunders needs, I will say, I do think he needs a Canelo type fight because he's a talented fighter and we're not getting to see it. And I think, even if he was to beat Liam Smith, I think people wouldn't give him the credit. Callum Smith, people probably still may not give him the credit. But I think if he put up a fantastic performance against Canelo, I think you'll see a totally different sort of narrative around Billy Joe Saunders.
I get that, mate. I just think that I agree with you, but I just think if I'm Chris Eubank Jr., you're clocking towards the end of the years where you need to kind of wind down. Haven't had a signature fight yet. You're still chasing the same first initial loss you had. You got dismantled by George Groves, fairly so. If I was him, I'll be putting myself into the Canelo fight. Not just Twitter, not just keyboard warrior doing it. He needs to put himself into a fight. He needs to either rematch Billy Joe Saunders or get into a big fight.
I
like him.
I don't even think we can talk about Chris. I don't even think we can talk about Billy. It's Canelo. Canelo going for Yildirim is a bad look. So I don't even think we can talk about what Canelo should, Chris should be putting his name up. I think Billy Joe Saunders wanted his name in the hat. He's an undefeated fighter, a world champion. They couldn't make that deal. Fair enough. Finances went, couldn't get that over the deal. But why Yildirim?
It's weird. Has he been forced into submission in fighting? I don't know. I mean, I'll say it now. I think Billy Joe Saunders beats Canelo. I think he's got the skill to beat Canelo. He's a very, very, very talented fighter. We just haven't seen. I would have loved to see him versus Gennady Golovkin as well. Unfortunately, that never came off. But Yildirim, has he? Do you think he's been forced into taking this fight? I don't see the logic in why he would take.
I think he got offered money he couldn't refuse.
Yeah.
I think he got offered money he couldn't refuse. But I feel Canelo should have taken a leaf out of Lomachenko's book and just adjusted his purse. This guy is probably one of the highest paid boxers there is. We all know about his $300 million deal with DAZN. Money still obviously stands because it's contractual. He should have just said, look, I'll earn my purse a few million and you can have it. Let's get this on. But Canelo is just a strange one. He's not a strange one. He's proved himself at light heavyweight. He's proved himself at all these levels, and I think now he's just trying to have fun with it and pick and choose. But unfortunately,
even then, that pick and choose, there's talent. I mean, look, you had Benavidez that fought on the weekend, just gone, and he missed his weight. But that's a great fight against Canelo. Don't forget Caleb Plant, potentially one of the Charlo brothers. I mean, it's I don't know, and it's not a good look. And I know Asgir's onto him. God help Canelo's Twitter this evening, but I think Asgir's kind of right. Look, I mean, last year we were saying, he had a great year. He beat Jacobs. I thought he beat Jacobs in style. Then he fought Kovalev. He got the knockout, and then this year we're getting Yildirim. Man, so I think that's a great.
COVID cautious. I just don't know. It's a strange one. Now we're getting fights such as George Dubois 50-50s. I mean, I still think I can't pick between them. We've got the fight that I spoke about last week, which is a sleeper. No one's really talking about it, which is Jeff Horn and Tim Tszyu. That's happening next week as well. We're having clashes of 50-50s. And then, you're right, we'll get Yildirim. Do you think he's cautious maybe because of this COVID pandemic thing and everything like that? He wants to ease into it, or what are your thoughts?
No way. Canelo shouldn't be. It's true. He's got no excuse. He's claimed himself at world level. He's a big player. He is one of the faces of boxing. He's the face of boxing. No excuse whatsoever. But ultimately, the politics of boxing always gets above the fans. Always. Always.
Unfortunately, that's it. That's you said it right there. So guys, listen, let's go through this weekend. We've got the Matchroom Fight Week. I think it's fair to say that's probably the biggest card that we're going to talk about. So, guys, I want to do your predictions before we sign out. So let's start against Babbage versus Winters. Babbage, who's part of the Maximum Violence, Dillian Whyte's team. How are we seeing that fight playing out, guys?
KO, 3 rounds.
KO as well. I think the momentum with the whole team, you can feel the energy from Chris and what Dillian Whyte's saying as well. So KO.
KO. Yeah, I would say the same. This is Winters. I'm wondering if it's he's. I think he's been brought over from the States, so yeah, I don't see that going well. Cullen versus Chile. Jack Cullen versus Zach Chile. How you guys seeing that?
Chile on points. I'm risking it.
Yeah, I like.
I'm thinking Chile as well, because I've seen some stuff from Al, you know, and the stuff he's been posting over there. I'm favouring Chile on this one, and I'm thinking majority decision or even UD. I don't think there's a clear favourite anymore, to be fair.
Yeah. We're probably going to go against the grain here with you guys. Well, clearly I am. I like Zach Chile. He's from the All Stars boxing gym, so I know him. I'm going to go with Jack Cullen in this one. I think it could be like the Zelfa Barrett fight against Donovan, where, you know, in my opinion, Barrett was losing the rounds and pulled it out with a big punch. I could potentially see it going that way, so I'm going Cullen to knock out Zach Chile. Taylor versus Clay versus Kongo. How we going, guys?
Kongo points.
Tough one. This for me is like the proper 50-50.
Yeah.
If my last pound was on it, I'd probably say, you know what, I'm switching in my head as well. 1 minute I'm thinking Clay, Luther, Black Panther. 1 minute I'm thinking it's going to be Kongo. Ask me tomorrow. I mean, at the minute, I'll probably say draw, but I honestly cannot.
Don't do that.
Don't give me that shit, man.
Don't do that. How's that picket fence digging up your bum?
Yeah. Okay, you put me on the spot. I'll probably say Kongo on a very, very minor points win. I'd probably say. And ask me again on Saturday, I might go Luther Club, because it's something I cannot put between.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, I have to say I'm going with Kongo. I think it will be a close fight. I think Kongo will be prepared, but I think it will be such a close, exciting fight that I think both guys will kind of their profiles will raise after this. But I'm going with Kongo. I mean, from his amateur pedigree, his mindset, and this is the opportunity that he's been craving. So I predict he'll seize this, and I'm saying points win for him. Taylor versus Pursoon 2. How do we see that one going, guys? First fight was obviously controversial. We now have the rematch.
Taylor KO. She's out of there.
Yeah.
Taylor. She's had a really good camp in New York, apparently. So she's to come back and quarantine. I think she's been in the country for some time now. She's doing her thing. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I agree with you, Sam. I think she's probably watched that fight a few times, loads of times, learned from her mistakes. Everyone can have a bad day at the office. I think they're a lot more conclusive in terms of an ending. If it's going to be points, she will win every round, I think. If it's going to be a KO, it will finish maybe mid-rounds, but I can see Taylor dominating and right with wrongs, to be fair, and rightfully so as well. She's a fantastic fantastic.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I think it will. I can see the same happening. Probably a stoppage as well. I think one of the key sort of factors in this is that Pursoon is coming back from an injury. So she's been out with a bit of an injury, and this fight is also short notice because she was not the original opponent. So whilst that doesn't always mean a definite win, I think Taylor will get the win this time around. And then we're going to the big one: Whyte versus Povetkin. Guys, how's that one playing out?
I mean, Whyte's a celeb now. Whyte's a big man flying on
private jets.
London. You know, look at him with his little flat cap on, looking like a Jamaican British doughboy. With his whole team. You know, I just really love his elevation, man. I love how he's come from, you know, being a bum to being Joshua's nothing to now almost people saying they're neck and neck now. You know, it's such an inspiring stuff. And funny enough, like Joshua's done things. Him and Joshua are so similar in the sense that they've come together, they've had their fight, and now, you know, Anthony's gone on to push on with his 258 management and everything, and Dylan's now managing a lot of fighters, and then, you know, they're just going on heights and heights, and big up to those guys. But it's only going to be either I'm debating between a knockout and and points. But I know Dylan likes to go for it. So I'm going to say knockout between the 6th to 8th round.
All right. Dave?
I agree. I was actually going to say round 7 knockout. I think Dillian Whyte has been in this WBC jail now for how many years, where he's like Andy Dufresne in the Shawshank Redemption. He's seen that sort of light, and it just keeps on elongating and elongating. I think he's going to go in and he's going to set an example and win. However, Povetkin is still quite dangerous, I believe. But I think he can run out of steam. So maybe about 7th round, we're going to see a stoppage from Dillian Whyte. One of the most improved heavyweights I've seen in a long time, from where he was and what he's done. Fantastic ambassador as well.
No, definitely. And for me, I have to say, guys, for me, I'm going Dillian Whyte knockout. I think he does have to kind of set a message. He has to set, sort of like set the levels to say, listen, I'm competing for world titles. Fury, Wilder, Joshua, if you fight me next, this is the type of performance that you should be worried about. And I expect him to knock him out. I'm within 8 rounds, I think he knocks him out. And we'll just see how that plays out. But yeah, I'm going within 8 rounds. So guys, listen, it's been a pleasure having you on this week. Dave, thank you very much for joining. Before we go, please shout out where people can find your content, the type of on the platforms.
Yeah, so I do a lot of work for the Boxing Voice, so you can catch me there. I've got a latest interview out with Adam Azim, so make sure you check that out. And I've also got my own platform on @PunchOutBoxing 5 on Twitter and PunchOutBoxing on Facebook as well. But it's between the two, mainly the Boxing Voice. So yeah, follow me there.
Perfect. No, thank you very much. So guys, listen, have a great week. For all the guys listening in, do not forget you can find us Raps on TV on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And we appreciate you as always. And we're out.
Let's get